We have a breaking update, actually, on the Menendez brothers case, and we're hearing now that the judge, you heard about the hearing and the first segment of Eyewitness News at 4 o'clock, the judge has now decided to go forward with this resentencing hearing, even though DA Nathan Hochman doesn't want it to. And to explain what is happening here, we have our legal analyst, Josh Ritter, joining us. And in layman's terms, what happened today and where are we in this case?
The hearing was contentious and it lasted a long time, but basically where we ended up is kind of where we were before Hochman said that he wanted to withdraw his motion, where they are going to now have a hearing on resentencing. When Hochman was elected, he said, I want to have an opportunity to review this all myself and make my own decision. He did that, and his decision was, I don't share the same views as my predecessor, and I want to withdraw that position. They argued that today, and the judge essentially said, no, we're not allowing you to withdraw that petition. I'm still going to hear this motion on whether or not they can be resentenced, and they're going to do that next Thursday.
Did it surprise you that the judge went against Nathan?
It did, because the motion was originally brought by the DA's office. It's kind of within the power of the DA's office to say, we want this case reconsidered, we want to look at resentencing. And if the new administration comes in, that's the same power that that new administration holds. And they're saying, we want to withdraw that petition, but the judge said, no dice, we're going to go ahead and revisit this on Thursday.
But the DA's office still has some power in this. They're the ones who are going to argue against at least a lighter sentence or even changing the sentence. What happens next when it comes to their participation in this hearing?
No, you're absolutely right. 2 months ago, it was a much better position for the Menendez brothers as far as their chances of getting out, or rather getting resentenced. Now, I think those chances are far less favorable to them because the DA's position is strongly against this resentencing. And so the judge is now in the position of still making that decision, but he doesn't have both sides essentially working towards the same end. Now it's going to be a much more, fought out hearing come Thursday.
And they only have a few days to prepare for this. How will that take place?
I think it's going to be a lot of what we heard in court today, which is them explaining that their position has a lot to do with the crimes themselves. They realize that they've been model inmates for the last 30 years, but these crimes are still very egregious, and there's no reason, legally or otherwise, to overturn their conviction from 30 years ago.
So we're looking at some video of the carryings on from a long time ago, but earlier in this newscast, we showed many different family members who are totally against the current DA and would love to see these two get out of prison soon. Does that have any bearing on this case, even though these family members are the loved ones of the two that they murdered?
It does, because the judge would take into account, under normal circumstances, the effect upon the victim's family members. Now, the victim's family members also have to be the family members of the defendant, but their input is going to have some value to the judge. And in this case, it's at least everyone who's still alive is in favor of them being released.
And will they get to speak at this hearing? Will they get to do some impact statements?
I believe they already had that opportunity. There was some testimony taken before at a previous hearing. I don't know if the judge is going to revisit any of that, but he's heard, and I think he well understands the position of the family members.
What does this look like now? Does this look like an entirely new trial, or is it a one-day event? Is it an afternoon in a courtroom? What are we talking about?
This case is so unpredictable. I don't know if I can give you the best and clearest answer on that. I thought we were going to have a decision on all of that today, but it looks like the judge actually wants to have the hearing on the merits of the resentencing motion itself next Thursday. And I think we're probably going to hear much of the same arguments we heard today.
I guess we're going to hear Mark Garrigo speak right now. We're going to take that live, I believe, and he's about to speak at the microphone right now.
I don't want to get ahead of myself, but today is a good day. Justice won over politics. It's been a long time coming for anybody who was in the courtroom. It was very difficult to sit and listen to what we witnessed, and we're obviously very thankful to the judge, and I couldn't be prouder of representing this family. They've waited a long time to get some justice, and today was actually probably the biggest day since they've been in custody. I I'm going to let them talk. I'm going to just say a couple of things. We heard and saw a lot of performative art, performative theatrics from the DA's office. The fact remains, and by the way, he's here, I had him under subpoena, Brock Lunsford, who was hardly, if you knew Brock like I knew Brock, the idea that he's some kind of a toady is laughable. And you should ask him some questions. I subpoenaed him here today, but I did not put him on the stand. He, I thought, did the right thing, the brave thing. I, in the courtroom, apologized to the family. I have seen something that I've never seen before, where a DA's office who basically hired for a head of victim services, somebody who was absolutely at odds with everybody behind here, and then gave them no support whatsoever, and then traumatized them again by throwing what I only consider to be an abhorrent picture up on the screen without warning, by the way, that I would have been chastised for if I did it as a defense lawyer. I just think all in all, it was an important day, a great day, and I'm thankful to everybody behind me for entrusting me. I'm thankful to Cliff Gardner, who ran away. Where are you? Come over here, Cliff.
I didn't get away yet.
Come here. I'm going to tell one small story about Cliff, and then I'll let him talk, and I'll duck out. About 2 years ago, when we were talking, and by the way, we still have an unblemished record. If we work together, we have an unblemished record. And we were talking about the writ of habeas corpus, and that was almost a little over 26 months ago.
Yeah.
And we said, you know, rather than filing this as a pro per, having them represent themselves, why don't we just do it? Because we enjoy working with each other. And so we did it together. Now I joke.
Worst decision we ever made.
Ever made, yes, because Cliff will tell you he does nothing but post-conviction litigation. Is there any case you've had more post-conviction litigation on than this case?
Sadly, no.
Yeah, sadly, no. So hat tip to Cliff, who I think is the best appellate lawyer of his generation. Hat tip to the family, and they'll all talk. And thank you all for paying attention today.
All right, we are anticipating hearing from the Menendez
Today's a good
family
day.
members. Yeah, let's listen into this.
Thank you guys for being here. Today's ruling affirms something that should never have been in question. The facts, fairness, and the law still matter. The court made clear that this process isn't about politics. It's about truth. It's about justice. And it's about giving people the chance to show who they are now, not just who they were in their worst moment. We're especially grateful to former DA George Gascon, Nancy, Brock, and the entire team who took the time to do a real, rigorous, and fair review of Eric and Lyle's case. Their conclusion wasn't based on sympathy or politics. It was based on evidence. They combed through decades of records. They looked at Eric and Lyle's rehabilitation, their education, their contributions to others inside prison, and they applied the law exactly as it was intended, without bias, without agenda, and with integrity. Eric and Lyle have taken full responsibility for what they did, and for decades now, they've continuously shown their insight through their actions, not just their words. They've apologized to us repeatedly over the years and have exemplified growth and healing. They've lived with accountability every day, all while knowing that if they'd have all of that, while never knowing they'd ever have a chance at release. They've supported fellow inmates through grief and terminal illness. Their work isn't performative. It's purposeful. It's real. We look forward to a full, fair presentation of who Eric and Lyle are today, not just a version frozen in time, in a time of pain and fear, but the whole truth. The growth, the humanity, and the men they've become. We're not naive. We know hope can be fragile, but we believe that the law is on our side. And for today, that's enough. Thank you for being here.
Could we get your name and spelling again?
Anna Maria Baralt.
And the spelling?
You want to spell my name? It's really long. All right, first name, Anamaria, Baralt, Baralt, and I am the niece of Jose and Kitty Menendez.
Thank you for speaking with us. Did any of you gauge the reaction of Lyle and Eric or have a chance to speak with them closely?
No, we haven't spoken to them yet, and I don't think any of us gauged their reaction quite yet. So we're looking forward to that for sure.
What was the reaction from the family when those graphic crime scene images were displayed?
You know, yet again, we were re-traumatized by this district attorney's office. Again, third time in a couple of months. So that's hard. That's hard. We've had to live in the spotlight for the last 35 years. It doesn't get easier for us. And so to sit there again in the courtroom and have him do it again, that's hurtful.
Do you think this brings them?
The judge ruling that you get to have a hearing so you can present the evidence to say they should be resentenced. This is what they've done for the last 35 years.
We do. It was heartening to see that. I believe that the judge, I'm not a lawyer, so I'll let the lawyers do the lawyering, but it was nice to see the judge ruled fairly, thoughtfully, heard arguments. There was one glaring lie told by the DA's office today, and that's that his presentation was only 2.5 hours long. It was not. It was much longer than that. So for sure they got their point across, and the judge still ruled in our favor, so we're grateful.
If you get a chance to speak before the court on Thursday or Friday, for you and other relatives, what is it that you will say to the judge to try and convince him that Eric and Lyle Menendez should be free?
We get to talk about who they are as people. We get to talk about their growth. We get to talk about their expressions of remorse and their rehabilitation. So we're all looking forward to that.
Is it growth in prison or normal activity?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Like their growth in prison or is it?
Well, they've spent the last 35
I
years
understand that.
incarcerated, so certainly they've grown anyway, right? They're not kids anymore, they're adults, but they have gone way above and beyond any expectations.
If they were black, would they have been given the same right?
Yes, they would have.
I believe that they would have.
The DA,
After 35 years?
Yes.
Anna Maria, the DA has made it very clear over and over again that Eric and Lyle Menendez have not taken responsibility or accountability for their crimes.
That is patently false. They have, repeatedly. I don't know why he keeps repeating that. That's just not true. They have.
What do you say to those people who think that they may still be a danger to society if they are free?
I think that's absurd to those people. Absolutely absurd.
You guys still have next week to go through.
Yes.
Do you have any hesitation or is there still any little bit of worry that it might not fully go in your guys' way next week at all?
Of course. There's no way for us to predict how next week is going to go. We have great faith in the system. We have great faith that justice is going to prevail. We have great faith that this judge is acting based on the law. So that gives us hope because they've certainly earned it.
And if you could say something right now to Eric and Lyle, what would you say to them?
We're so proud of you. We're so proud of you. We're going to fight for you forever. And I really hope this happens.
Maria, what do you want to say to the district attorney? Because I know that your family has felt the DA hasn't listened to the family, hasn't paid attention to what Eric and Lyle have done for the last 35 years, and listened to your argument. What do you say to the DA?
You can start today, is what I would say to the DA. It's not too late. You can start listening to us now.
Anna Marie, will we get to hear from Eric and Lyle next week?
I believe that they're going to prepare statements. I don't know that they will be testifying. That's a lawyer question, so I'm not sure. Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking because, the prosecution is basically saying their whole issue is that they believe they haven't accepted full responsibility. Why not just put them out there so they can hear from them and eliminate that roadblock?
Again, that would be a question for their legal team.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, good.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank
That
you.
concludes the press conference.
Is Mark still here?
He's back there.
Yeah, can we get Mark back up real quick?
That's a question for Mark. Another question.
All right, you've been listening to a live press conference. That is a family member, Ana Maria Baralt. She is the niece of Jose and Kitty Menendez, who were both killed by Eric and Lyle Menendez. She's also the cousin of Eric and Lyle Menendez. So that is, she is speaking on behalf of the family members and where they stand. And obviously, they are calling this a great day because this hearing will go forward, the resentencing hearing, and I guess a lot more will come out.